Good morning. We're going to be reading the last part of the story Mowgli's Brothers, which comes from Jungle Book. This is the first of 3 sections of a overall story that talks about Mowgli. So we are finishing up the first part. It's a series of short stories. This was at the beginning actually a standalone short story. And then Rudyard Kipling added on these other 2 parts that we're going to be reading next week and the following week. So when we left off yesterday in your reading, we saw that Bagheera was telling Mowgli, he is getting too old to be one of the wolf pack. What are some of the dangers that Bagheera was warning Mowgli that await him? Well, some of the wolves are turning against him. There are quite a few wolves who are actually starting to side up with Shere Khan, and we know that Shere Khan is out to get Mowgli. He seems like he just wants to show his power, prove how powerful he is. He doesn't like to follow the laws of the jungle, and in many other ways, he likes to prove that he's kind of above the law. He is the most powerful in the jungle. So Mowgli so far has escaped him, and the wolves have protected him. All of the other animals in the pack, including Baloo and Bagheera, have been protecting him, but they won't be able to protect him forever, right? And these wolves are starting to fear Mowgli as he's getting older. They can't even look him in the eyes. So Bagheera gave him advice to get the red flower at the end of the chapter. Do you guys remember that? What was the red flower? Fire, that's right. Now, humans, Mowgli and specifically in the story, but humans in general, they're saying are not fearful of fire necessarily because they know how to harness it well. And, Mowgli can just have a torch with fire, and the animals are terrified of it. But that's because they don't know how to, they don't have, hands to be able to hold like a torch. So it's very frightening, and they don't have an understanding of how it can be used for good, not just for harm in the jungle. So they've only seen fire do terrible things for them, but people can see the good that fire can do for us with warmth and light. So we're going to continue there. Page 24 is where we're starting off. Actually, I will present my book today, and I've been kind of going back and forth, but I've got document camera right here ready to go. Beginning page 24, top of page 24. Okay, so he came back to Mother Wolf, and she says, "What is it, son?" "Son Bat's chatter of Shere Khan," he called back. "I hunt among the plowed fields tonight." And he plunged downward through the bushes to the stream at the bottom of the valley. There he checked, for he heard the yell of the pack hunting, heard the bellow of a hunted sambur, and the snort as the buck turned at bay. Then there were wicked, bitter howls from the young wolves. "Akela, Akela, let the lone wolf show his strength. Room for the leader of the pack. Spring, Akela!" The lone wolf must have sprung and missed his hold, for Mowgli heard the snap of his teeth and then a yelp as the sambur knocked him over with his forefoot. So Akela has to show that he is the strongest of the wolves, or else he's going to be killed and other wolves will fight to be the next leader of the pack. He did not wait for anything more, but dashed on, and the yells grew fainter behind him as he ran into the croplands where the villagers lived. "Bagheera spoke truth," he panted, as he nestled down in some cattle fodder by the window of the hut. "Tomorrow is one day both for Akela and for me." Then he pressed his face close to the window and watched the fire on the hearth. He saw the husbandman's wife get up and feed it in the night with black lumps. And when the morning came and the mists were all white and cold, he saw the man's child pick up a wicker pot plastered inside with earth, fill it with lumps of red-hot charcoal, put it under his blanket, and go out to tend to the cows in the byre. "Is that all?" said Mowgli. "If a cub can do it, there is nothing to fear." Remember, Mowgli is like a young teenager at this point. So he strode round the corner and met the boy, took the pot from his hand, and disappeared into the mist while the boy howled with fear. "They are very like me," said Mowgli, blowing into the pot as he had seen the woman do. "This thing will die if I do not give it things to eat." And he dropped twigs and dried bark on the red stuff. For any of you who've been to a bonfire before, or like a campfire, you know that you do have to feed a fire, is what they call it, with like a dried grass so that it stays hot and the fire stays lit. Now, he's learning quickly. Halfway up the hill, he met Bagheera with the morning dew shining like moonstones on his coat. "Akela has missed," said the panther. "They would have killed him last night, but they needed thee also. They were looking for thee on the hill." Oh, so they were about to kill Akela, except that they wanted to have Mowgli too. "I was among the plowed lands. I am ready. See?" Mowgli held up the fire pot. "Good. Now I have seen men thrust a dry branch into that stuff, and presently the red flower blossomed at the end of it. Art thou not afraid?" Bagheera asked. "No, why should I fear? I remember now, if it is not a dream, how before I was a wolf, I lay beside the red flower, and it was warm and pleasant." All that day, Mowgli sat in the cave tending his fire pot and dipping dry branches into it to see how they looked. He found a branch that satisfied him, and in the evening, when Tabaqui came to the cave and told him rudely enough that he was wanted at the council rock, he laughed till Tabaqui ran away. Then Mowgli went to the council, still laughing. Now Akela, the lone wolf, lay by the side of his rock as a sign that the leadership of the pack was open. So he is showing the other wolves that he is no longer in charge anymore. He's opening the door for other wolves to take over. And Shere Khan, with his following of scrap-fed wolves, walked to and fro openly, being flattered. Bagheera lay close to Mowgli, and the fire pot was between Mowgli's knees. When they were all gathered together, Shere Khan began to speak, a thing he would never have dared to do when Akela was in his prime. "He has no right," whispered Bagheera. "Say so. He is a dog's son. He will be frightened." Mowgli sprang to his feet. "Free people!" he cried. "Does Shere Khan lead the pack? What has a tiger to do with our leadership?" Mowgli's speaking truth. Let's hear if they believe him. Hopefully they don't follow Shere Khan. He is really just trying to turn all of the wolves against each other. Seeing that the leadership is yet open and being asked to speak, Shere Khan began. "By whom?" said Mowgli. "Are we all jackals to fawn off this cattle butcher? The leadership of the pack is with the pack alone." There were yells of, "Silence, thou man's cub! Let him speak. He has kept our law." So some people thought he has no right to speak, and others are saying he's telling the truth. And at last the seniors of the pack thundered, "Let the dead wolf speak," meaning Akela, because he's soon to be dead. When a leader of the pack has missed his kill, he is called the dead wolf as long as he lives, which is not long as a rule. Akela raised his old head wearily. "Free people, and ye too, jackals of Shere Khan. For many seasons I have led ye to and from the kill, and in all my time not one has trapped or maimed. Now I have missed my kill. Ye know how that plot was made. Ye know how ye brought me up to an untried buck to make my weakness known." So they were conspiring against him. It's the reason that he missed the kill. He says, "It was cleverly done. Your right is to kill me here on the council rock now. Therefore I ask, who comes to make an end of the lone wolf? For it is my right, by the law of the jungle, that ye come one by one." There was a long hush, for no single wolf cared to fight Akela to the death. Then Shere Khan roared, "Bah, what have we to do with this toothless fool? He is doomed to die. It is the man's cub who has lived too long. Free people, he was my meat from the first," Shere Khan says. "Give him to me. I am weary of this man-wolf folly. He has traveled the jungle for 10 seasons. Give me the man cub, or I will hunt here always, and not give you one bone. He's threatening them. If they don't hand over Mowgli, he's going to keep hunting there. He is a man's child, and from the marrow of my bones I hate him, he says. Then more than half the pack yelled, a man! What has a man to do with us? Let him go to his own place. And turn all the people of the village against us? Clamored Shere Khan. No, give him to me. He is a man, and none of us can look him between the eyes. Shere Khan is saying, hand him over. We know that men don't belong here. Akela lifted his head again and said, he has eaten our food. He has slept with us. He has driven game for us, and he has broken no word of the law of the jungle. Also, I paid for him with a bull when he was accepted. The worth of a bull is little, but Bagheera's honor is something that he will perhaps fight for, said Bagheera in his gentlest voice. So Bagheera is still standing up for him, as is Akela. A bull paid 10 years ago? The pack snarled. What do we care for bones 10 years old? Or for a pledge, said Bagheera, his white teeth bared under his lips. Well, are ye called the free people? No man's cub can run with the people of the jungle, howled Shere Khan. Give him to me. He is our brother in all but blood, Akela went on. And ye would kill him here? In truth, I have lived too long. Some of ye are eaters of cattle, and of others I have heard that, under Shere Khan's teaching, ye go by dark night and snatch children from the villager's doorstep. Shere Khan has them breaking the law of the jungle. The law of the jungle is to go back, the law of the jungle is to not hunt men, that is people, unless it is to teach young animals how to hunt. This is not going along with what they should be doing. Therefore, I know ye to be cowards, and it is to cowards I speak. It is certain that I must die, and my life is of no worth, or I would offer that in the man-cub's place. But for the sake of the honor of the pack, a little matter that by being without a leader ye have forgotten. I promise that if ye let the man-cub go to his own place, I will not, when my time comes to die, bear one tooth against ye. I will die without fighting. That will at least save the pack 3 lives. More I cannot do, but if ye will, I can save ye the shame that comes of killing a brother against whom there is no fault. A brother spoken for and bought into the pack according to the law of the jungle. He is a man, snarled the pack, and most of the wolves began to gather round Shere Khan, whose tail was beginning to twitch. Now the business is in thy hands, said Bagheera to Mowgli. We can do no more except fight. Mowgli stood upright, the fire pot in his hands. Then he stretched out his arms and yawned in the face of the council. Guess that's just proof he doesn't really care. He's not afraid. But truly, he was actually furious with rage and sorrow. For, wolf-like, the wolves had never told him how they hated him. Oh, so he's hurt. These people have been like family, and all of a sudden they're saying they want him dead. Listen, you, he cried. There's no need for this dog's jabber. You have told me so often tonight that I am a man, and indeed I would have been a wolf with you to my life's end. That I feel your words are true. So I do not call ye my brothers any more, but sag, meaning dogs, as a man should. What ye will do and what ye will not do is not yours to say. That matter is with me, and that we may see the matter more plainly, I, the man, have brought here a little of the red flower for which ye dogs fear. How are they going to react? So he flung the fire pot on the ground, and some of the red coals lit a tuft of dried moss that flared up as all the council drew back in terror before the leaping flames. Mowgli thrust his dead branch into the fire till the twigs lit and crackled, and whirled it above his head among the cowering wolves. This is good protection. This is better than a sword could be. Thou art the master, said Bagheera in an undertone. Save Akela from the death, He was ever thy friend. Oh, wise Bagheera says he is wanting to make sure that Mowgli stands up for Akela, who definitely stood up for him. Akela, the grim old wolf who had never asked for mercy in his life, gave one piteous look at Mowgli as the boy stood all naked, his long black hair tossing over his shoulders in the light of the blazing branch that made the shadows jump and quiver. Good, said Mowgli, staring round slowly. I see that ye are dogs. I go from you to my own people, if they be my own people. The jungle is shut to me, and I must forget your talk and your companionship, but I will be more merciful than ye are, because I was all but your brother in blood. I promise that when I am a man among men, I will not betray ye to men as ye have betrayed me. Wow. He is showing integrity here by saying, regardless of how you treat me, I will be loyal to you. I promise that. He kicked the fire with his foot and the sparks flew up. There shall be no war between any of us and the pack. But here is a debt to pay before I go. At this point, he strode forward to where Shere Khan sat blinking stupidly at the flames and caught him by the tuft of his chin. Wow. Bagheera followed in case of accidents. Up, dog, Mowgli cried to Shere Khan. Up when a man speaks, or I will set that coat ablaze. Mowgli showing his power. Shere Khan's ears lay flat back on his head, and he shut his eyes, for the blazing branch was very near. This cattle killer said he would kill me in the council because he had not killed me when I was a cub. Thus and thus, then, do we beat dogs when we are men. Stir a whisker, Lungri, and I ram the red flower down thy gullet. He beat Shere Khan over the head with the branch, and the tiger whimpered and whinnied in an agony of fear. So, Shere Khan is definitely afraid. Pa, cinch, Jungle Cat, go now, but remember, when next I come to the Council Rock, as a man should come, it will be with Shere Khan's hide on my head. Wow. For the rest, Akela goes free to live as he pleases. Ye will not kill him, because that is not my will. So he says, I will kill Shere Khan, and you will not kill Akela. He will go free. Nor do I think that ye will sit here any longer, lolling out your tongues as though ye were somebodies, instead of dogs whom I drive out. Thus, go. The fire was burning furiously at the end of the branch, and Mowgli struck right and left round the circle, and the wolves ran howling with the sparks burning their fur. At last there was only Akela, Bagheera, and perhaps 10 wolves that had taken Mowgli's part. Then something began to hurt Mowgli inside him, as he had never been hurt in his life before, and he caught his breath and sobbed, and the tears ran down his face. What do you think he's feeling? What is it? What is it? He said. I do not wish to leave the jungle, and I do not know what this is. Am I dying, Bagheera? No, little brother. Those are only tears such as men use, said Bagheera. Now I know thou art a man, and a man's cub no longer. The jungle is shut indeed to thee henceforward. He's starting to feel like a true man, crying, feeling emotion about leaving the home he's always known. Let them fall, Mowgli. They are only tears. So Mowgli sat and cried as though his heart would break, and he had never cried in all his life before. Now, he said, I will go to men, but first I must say farewell to my mother. So he went to the cave where she lived with Father Wolf, and he cried on her coat while the 4 cubs howled miserably. Ye will not forget me, said Mowgli. Never while we can follow a trail, said the cubs. Come to the foot of the hill when thou art a man, and we will talk to thee, and we will come into the croplands to play with thee by night. Come soon, said Father Wolf. O wise little frog, come again soon, for we be old, thy mother and I. Come soon, said Mother Wolf, little naked son of mine, for listen, child of man, I loved thee more than ever I loved my cubs. Wow. I will surely come, said Mowgli, and when I come it will be to lay out Shere Khan's hide upon the council rock. Do not forget me. Tell them in the jungle never to forget me. The dawn was beginning to break when Mowgli went down the hillside alone to meet those mysterious things that are called men. Okay, so that is the end of part 1 of the story. Do you think that he will fulfill the promise to not hurt the wolves? Also the promise that Shere Khan's hide would be on his back as he kills him, like the prophecy was, and that he'd see Mother Wolf and Father Wolf again as another promise. So we will see not next week, because next week we're actually going to go back in time towards those to those 10 years that they skipped over. And, we heard about how he became one of the wolf pack, and then it said 10 years went by before he ended up leaving to go to the men. Well, we're going to find out more about his time with Baloo, being taught by him, and about the monkey people. We're going to get into that in the next part. But then we'll jump forward in time to what happens right after this story is over. Okay, I will talk to you all later. Hope you're enjoying this, and see you soon. Bye.